To thine own self be true. Shakespeare, although brilliant, didn't quite take this far enough. It's crucial that you're true in who you are to yourself. But in today's world, it's increasingly important that you're authentic in how you present yourself to the outside world. Today, I want to talk about authenticity. And my lesson started when I was a second semester senior in high school. I was a goody two-shoes, and that meant going to class and following the rules. I was that kid. But one day, I decided to break the rules. My boyfriend at the time and I took the afternoon and went hiking. We had a great time, until on the way home we found ourselves in bumper-to-bumper traffic. It only got worse when I accidentally ran into the car in front of me. Busted. I had to tell my parents, and I had to pay for the damage. Now, I don't judge anybody who skipped school in high school. Raise your hand if you ever skipped school in high school. The thing was, it wasn't me. I wasn't being authentic to myself. And I paid for it, literally. So, how do we avoid the collisions that we have in everyday life and in business? You market yourself authentically. So fast forward 2 decades later, and I found myself in a position where I wanted to advocate for a medical cannabis law in Maryland for my son who suffered from epilepsy. The challenge was, I didn't know anything about politics or about cannabis. So I did what any good mom from the suburbs would do, and I sent a holiday card to every single delegate and senator in the state of Maryland. This was me. This was authentically me. My son doesn't even have shoes on. I then co-founded StopTheSeizures.org, and together with amazing parents, we passed a bill in Maryland. I've seen authenticity work, and soon the patients of Maryland will have safe access to the medicine that they deserve. Now, I'm sure you can appreciate how important it is to be authentic as a youth coming of age and as a parent advocate. But how does this translate to business? And why does authenticity matter? I want to share with you what I've learned about being authentic in business and what that could mean for your company. But first, what is authenticity? Patricia Haddock, a successful entrepreneur, says that authenticity is when you have a connection between an entrepreneur's words and their actions, between how they act in private and how they act in business. Now, fast forward, my advocacy led me to Forward Grow. I'm proud to say that we are one of the 15 companies chosen to cultivate medical cannabis in Maryland. Now, I chose this team because I found the principals to be authentic in how they presented themselves to me and to the outside world. People want to work with authentic people. It builds credibility, respect, and trust. Personally, I want to work with people where we can sit around in our fuzzy slippers and just get the job done. But finally, and possibly most important, authenticity matters to customers. Seth Godin, in his book, All Marketers Are Liars, says, the reason authenticity matters is that we don't know which input the consumer will use to invent the story he tells himself. If our sign is cool and our location is cool, but our people and our products aren't cool, then we're not telling a coherent story. When a company has integrity and consistency, then the customers know that they can trust the product and service. In a moment, let's run through the 4 points that I think we need to do to focus on being authentic, successfully in your business. Number 1, become an expert. So in our industry, that means read the regulations. As a patient advocate, I read the regulations so many times that I was able to answer any question that anybody came up with. And then with Forward Grow, we had written our business plan even before the application was available in Maryland, aligned completely with the regulations. So being an expert also means following what's going on in other markets, so we can learn from their mistakes and their successes. I have no financial ties, but I did want to share 2 sources of information that I think are incredibly valuable to me to learn about what's going on in other markets. One are these daily emails from Forefront Ventures that break down the news between the national news and state by state. I also really love the Marijuana Today Daily podcast because it gives you very current news in a 7-minute blurb every day. Number 2, ask questions and encourage others to ask questions. Don't be afraid to use my favorite 3-word phrase, I don't know. But make sure you follow it up with, but I'll find out. With the team that I'm working with now, I'm lucky to be working with a bunch of moms that have never worked for a startup, but what we have in common is we're willing to be real about what we can and we cannot do. Embrace the questions. Number 3, develop talking points. How many of you, even those sole entrepreneurs, have written talking points for your company? Clap if you have them. Good, good. At Forward Grow, we developed talking points before we spoke to any customers, legislators, or the public. And it helped us define what our message is to communicate what our company is all about. Number 4, get a little help from your friends. I will never forget the friends that helped me pass the bill in Maryland. Your friends are an underutilized resource. They get you, they know your true self, they want you to succeed, and they will stand by you. So as we wrap up, here's my final challenge to you. Today, I want each and every one of you to think about what your next step is to show the world who you are as a person and as a company. Thank you.